Okay, it looks like we got a steady connection and it looks like we're ready to go for today's episode 5 of live design streaming sessions. And let's start off with the big disaster that happened yesterday and a couple of apologies maybe from my side. So yesterday we had the whole design streaming episode, and we totally didn't have audio for the full thing, so microphone audio. So my microphone, I had some issues with my microphone line, and I realized that that was the issue way late, literally like at the last minute of the stream. So too bad, but lucky enough we can still sort of like recover that. So I will be doing, so if you're still interested about the topic that we had yesterday we're talking about, what were we talking about yesterday? Is We're talking about UX, sort of like design thinking trends, and if you're interested in that, I will be releasing a podcast by the end of this week. So that is probably by Thursday or Friday the 6th or 7th of July. So August. So you should be expecting to hear that podcast if you missed yesterday's session, and if you are interested in the topic around design thinking trends. And I was just talking around some of the trends that I think UX designers out there should be seeking out and looking out for, to take their career level to the to take their careers to the next level. Having said that, having blubbered around, having apologized for yesterday's mess, my name is Verma Henry. If you haven't sort of like followed me already, you can follow me on LinkedIn, on Twitter. I'm a product designer out from South Africa, and I basically doing this design streaming sessions under the Do Better UX brand. These are live streaming sessions that we'll be doing on every weekday right here on the channel. So we'll be exploring different design topics, from sort of like design systems, things that we explored like yesterday when we're exploring trends within design thinking. I'm going to try to switch up the format a little bit and have guests on the show and try and talk to product owners and other people out there that are within the design community that can share a thing or two to the people that might want to learn different things around building better products in general. So yeah, I can see that my streaming session is a bit slow. So if I'm lagging a bit, please bear with me. But if you are if I speak about anything and you would like to ask me questions, you can do it live right now in the chat session, or even if you're watching this after the live event, you can also add your comments after that, and I can always get back to them. So cool. Having said that, having introduced what we are trying to do today, having spoke a lot about other things that are not necessarily, the stuff that we want to talk about today. Today's session is about design systems. And before we jump into the topic of today, let me just switch over to my computer here. Before we jump into sort of like what design systems are, I was just looking up for sort of like what is the actual definition out there that people have. I have my own definition. I've heard different definitions over and over, and we'll sort of like discuss the different definitions that we might have. But I think, to me, design systems are a holistic way of looking at a brand, its messaging, the tone of voice that it has. So if you are familiar with branding guides, right? What do you call them? Brand manuals, corporate identity guides, and those type of things. It's something very similar, but then design systems take it a step further, and it's really um, a way to create a system that has got all your philosophies, design elements, so that it's a one source of truth. It's not just a design components library. Some people think that their component library in Sketch or their component library in Figma is a design system, but it's not really a design system, right? It's a component library, and the design system is something a little bit bigger than that. Most of the examples that I will be showing here are from, the design perspective, but think about it as one single source of truth where your whole team, your whole organization can speak one common design language, which is something very similar that is trying to be achieved by corporate identities and things like that. But this takes it just a step further. So having said that, let's jump into what is the Wikipedia definition of what a design system is. So here we go. A design system is a set of interconnected patterns and shared practices, coherently organized to aid in digital product design and development of products such as apps or websites. So that is definitely true. Most of the design system is, packaged towards digital design and how we design digital products, because there's an aspect of code in there. There's an aspect of, design language and elements. So it helps you a little bit more than, just having one set of colors and typography fonts that you might have for your brand, and you might want to diversify as to how do you manage your whole design stack so that it's accessible to everybody and everybody is on the same page around what are you actually trying to achieve with your brand and your design and your messaging. It really helps when we are doing digital product design, because it helps uniform things through and through. And also the management of design systems is very important, because if they're poorly managed, then we just have crap being in a system, and these are systems that we want to try and keep as clean as possible, as managed as possible. So having said that, I found sort of like a better definition here that I like, which is so this guy also says, he keeps on hearing various definitions, and definitely I agree with him. It's not a Sketch library or a Figma component library. That is not a design system. In fact, that is just, like you're saying, it's a little bit more than a style guide or a pattern library, and it's actually all of those things put in one and so much more. So here's his definition, and I kind of like this pretty much. So this is, let me just this is Audrey Hank, I think that is how you pronounce the name there. Sorry Audrey, if I said your name wrong, but I think this is a fantastic article around design systems. Audrey says, a design system is a single source of truth which groups all the elements that will allow the teams to design, realize, and develop a product. So this is important, right? Because this is all different teams. We've got like, different teams working on a product at any given point in time, from the design guys, from the marketing people, copywriters, but we all need to share this common language so that we don't end up with a jigsaw of a product. We want to have something very pronounced that is, that doesn't feel that that doesn't feel like you have 20 or 30 designers that are actually working on the product, right? So you want to cover basic things that you would cover in a corporate identity or brand manual. Things like, what are the colors, what are the fonts, what are the images, voice and tone. Those are some of the things that you like to put in there. And people like to put other things like photography style and things like illustrations as well in here, but it all falls under that. And then things like principles, what are the brand values, what is the purpose and the objectives of the actual brand itself, it's like Nike, what is Nike's purpose of existence, right? So I will go and show you some examples of some design systems like from Airbnb and some of the ones that I just picked up. I mean, there's tons out there, right? And then you have all of this stuff, and then you have your components and patterns that is translated into actual design that people can see and feel and use and interact with, right? And there's like functional documents, technical documents that support all this to govern it. Let's see if Audrey has any other interesting takes. I guess it's just continue with explaining what's happening there. But yeah, that is in a nutshell what design systems are. And I'm gonna sort of like proceed to exploring a couple of examples and just talk through them so that I can show you. Again, I think these are heavily oriented in the UI world, and for sort of like digital product designers. But again, if you're getting into UX design or UX UI design, then this is something that you might want to learn and know as a skill set. So moving on swiftly, the sort of like line is terrible right now, and I don't know why it always gets me when it's time for me to be streaming live, but I hope it gets better. I'm planning to, put an Ethernet cable running right into my office here. Can give you a much richer experience, especially when people are trying to interact. It's about a minute lag, which is annoying at times. But anyway, so this is design system repo.com. I went here to sort of like explore a couple of design systems that are there, just to see what's happening. But I already had quite a bit of things open already. Oh, I almost forgot. We cannot talk about design systems without talking about atomic design, especially for those people who are building, components in sketch libraries and things like that. But we'll get back to it when we are speaking about resources that I would recommend people to look at out there. So let's go into a couple of examples that I've opened here. So Shopify has got their design system is called Polaris, and it basically it's designed to help merchants have a similar fluent look across their different stores, so that you sort of like have a professional look. It has different things. So this is what their design system actually encompasses, right? There's content, so learn how to use the language, design more thoughtful product experience, so you can read the guidelines around how to actually create content in a Shopify type of style and manner that will bring uniformity across how your work looks like and how everything looks like. They have design how to approach visual elements, for the interface. For the actual UI that you're developing, how do you approach the visual elements? And also they've got, components for developers, which are sort of like the building blocks, as they say here, for developers to just jump in there and sort of like get on with development. So this could be, a header component like this, or, some sort of like layout component like this that will help them build pages and different parts of that, so things like this component here with the icon, the title, the text, and the link here. This will be what we would call a component, basically. And this is what it encompasses. And then they have another experiences part here. So read the guidance of crafting specific product experiences Shopify. So it's very short and straightforward. We could sort of like go in and explore some of the pages here. But let's just see what some of the other ones have as components of the actual design system, so that you can see that it's more than just your design guidelines. So this is material. I think some of you might know material already. Some of you might have heard or use material type of design. This is from our friends from Google, I'd like to believe so. So here in material design, we can see within the design system itself, there's there's six things in it. So they have got guidelines, they've got your design and developer. So they've sort of like packaged the components together from a design perspective and from a developer perspective. They've got sets of how would you stylize your icons. They've got components for the web specifically. So I'm guessing these components might be for native Android or whatever it is. And then you've got accessibility guidelines, which is pretty cool for them to add it in here, because I think accessibility is one of the most overlooked things out there by most companies and most design systems. I don't see them having accessibility guidelines. So these are things like, how do you cater for people who are partially blind, things like hearing, people with disabilities, how do they access your product and deal with it. And then there's developer tutorials. So you would think that this is quite extensive. This is quite a detailed design system. So as we can go in there and see the components that they have, you see they have the different cards here. This is app bars, bottom bar, top bar, backdrop. So it's basically all the different UI elements and things put together, and you can actually get specific code and elements around that specific component. So this is like a well documented way of how you would style and treat your website. So as you can see already, it stretches out from just having a brand guideline with just the colors, the fonts, and usually we also have things like the tone and things like that in there, but it actually goes quite deeper. If we look at another component here, chips, so you actually have the code in there, and you sort of like can go in and see how to use it and play around with sliders. I thought that could be a thing. So they'll tell you things like how to use it, what is the autonomy of this actual component, if you want to like manipulate it and that kind of thing, and other, important things. So this website here is sort of like the actual design system. So if you want to use material design, you come to this website and you sort of like have an overview of what this design system entails, and how you can use it. You have all the resources here. You've got the fonts and all the things that you can, even they even cover things like motion and all of those things. So it's really extensive. It's a little bit more deeper than just your brand style guide. Moving on to another example. This is Airbnb. This is their sort of like their design language. Let's see if they actually have their design system here. What was I looking at here? So Airbnb have got, sort of like spacing. This like pretty much, you see, like they get into the components here of how they treat the app. I'm guessing this is the app here. They get into, sort of like components of treating navigation and all of that stuff. And oh, this is actually just an article around, design, creating their design system. I wonder if I can actually find their actual design system. Let's see. Airbnb. Okay, so I did see it once. um, but anyway, moving on swiftly, it seems like Airbnb design system doesn't want to get found. Here's another example from Microsoft. This is Fluent Design System. This is Microsoft Design System. So again, another extensive, deep sort of like design system to help you design for all the different platforms. So you can see here they've got web, Windows, iOS, Android, cross-platform. But again, as you can see, there isn't a clear guideline around things like accessibility, as compared to material design, which I thought it was pretty cool to pack it up like that. So you can check out the styles, you can check out the controls and download resources, for Figma, for different, platforms really. So let's just have a look at some of the styles here that they have. You see they cover things like motion, what are the motion patterns, how do you animate things, and that kind of stuff. So as you can see here, iconography, layout, motion, typography, localization, and they even have a theme designer to help you get started with, the Fluent design system, so that you don't, have to build things from scratch and mess up things. You can basically just input some of your, colors in here, things like font. Oh, there we go, accessibility checker. So they actually have it baked into their Fluent UI theme designer here, which I think is pretty cool. So again, I'm looking at the time. I see that at the 26 minutes after 7 mark, and again we might go a little bit over, but yeah, if you'd like to drop off and do something else, or if you'd like to fire up a question at any point in time while I'm in the middle of doing this, please do fire up a question in the chat section, and I can answer you. I will be checking the chat section from time to time, since I'm sort of like trying to manage this stream and broadcast and go through with it at the same time. You get what I mean. So, moving on swiftly, that is Microsoft's example. They've got a nice, cool little, theme builder here. Going on to MailChimp. MailChimp is a little bit more of, a traditional looking design system where they basically just give you the components. And yeah, I'm not super excited about MailChimp's example really, but they do cover and document quite a lot of things, sort of like giving you their buttons, their actual components that they have, dialogues, helper classes, lists, and all of that stuff, which is pretty cool. These are their patterns, right? You can go color, grid system, typography, and all of that stuff. And they even have a CMYK, so maybe this is a great way to document your brand, your brand guide, your CI guide, to put it in some sort of website format like this, where people can actually just access it. So maybe if you are doing this for a client, you could host this on the client's website, clientx.com/design system, and that way, once you deploy it for them, it can be easily be accessed by people who need to use it, such as other designers who are working with your client, and sort of like use the work that you have defined for them. So yeah, I think I can keep going on the other examples. I have another example here. I've got sort of like the Apple example. I've got this designSystemsRepo.com, where there's all this cool examples. So if you want to go through any of these websites, you can check them out on your own and explore them. But before I sign out from today's session, so that I don't stretch this more than the 30 minutes that we've actually assigned to do this session for. I just want to speak about two more things, which is what I would recommend as resources for you if you're a designer out there and you would like to get started with design systems, and this is your very first time hearing about them and you don't really know what they are. So the first thing that I would suggest you look at is Atomic Design. This is by a gentleman called Brad Frost. I think this is a good handbook to help you get started understanding what design systems are and how to actually build them from scratch. So you've got the Atomic Design System speaks about looking at design as atoms, molecules, organisms, templates, and eventually pages. So if you break down a page that you have at any given moment, you should be able to have templates for your support page, your contact us page, your whatever pages, right? So that if people need to use that specific page, or template around that page, they can simply pull out those components and start using that page. Organisms are things like your different, so let's go through some examples here. So your atoms are the basic building blocks of matter. I like how you put it there, applied to web interfaces. So I think this applies to more than web interfaces. I think it designing products in general, especially digital products. So as you can see here, is the labels, is the actual input box, is the the button, how it looks like, and then a molecule would be those people put together in sort of like this component, and then this component lives in a menu, right? And that will be an organism where it actually lives. Um, and then you get the next thing, which will be the page template, right? um, where you still see how that is building out. So now you have those little atoms and molecules and organisms living in this big template, and then those templates can be eventually used to create pages. And so all the different parts of this thing can be broken up into that could be um, um, uh, an organism on its own, with an image and some text. Um, so I found atomic design systems to be a great way to manage, all of this stuff, because if you want to go back and, do a rebranding exercise or um, something that is sort of like what can you say? Something that is design intensive, and you want to change um, a lot of things within your design work, then this is the best way. So you can just go and change that button, and then you replace all the button styles throughout your website. um, so yeah, think about it as a way to better manage your design projects, better define, you know, and these are living organisms, right? It's not like you're just gonna do it once off and you submit it to your customer and it's gonna be like that. I think these are living organisms that you really need to maintain and keep updated. You know, beef them up latest what do you call it, design patterns and trends that you would like to explore as a company or whatever it is. But the atomic design system is something that would really help you um, easily manage your components from a very small basic thing like just changing a button or a font, or how labels and input fields look like, to how whole pages look like. So having said that, I'm going to close off the session with this handbook as a recommendation to anybody who is looking into getting into design systems. So definitely look into Brett Forst Atomic Design Systems, and definitely check out this design system handbook from InVision. You can download it for free as a PDF or as an EPUB. It covers quite an extensive view of what design systems are, getting into designing your own design system, how do you build it up, and the future of design systems, etc., etc. So it's something that is I would definitely recommend out there. I don't know anything about the authors here, to be honest, but InVision has been creating a series of these very interesting books. So other than this design system book, I think you can also find other interesting books that they have here, which is that have to do with other UX design practices as well. So things like how to scale design in organizations, etc., etc. So check out the Design System Handbook and Brett Frost's Atomic Design System, sort of like as a way to kickstart your knowledge around design systems. If you're watching this and you're new to design systems, maybe you're coming from the world of building brand guides and sort of like the generic corporate identities for your customers. There's nothing wrong with those. I think design systems are a way to level up and improve the quality and offering that you're actually giving your customers. So closing off, for our next design streaming session. catch me live right here on YouTube on the channel. If you're interested in this type of content, please do consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell. That way you will be able to, get notified when I go live every day, and you can simply just check out, what is the topic that we're covering tomorrow. We'll be trying to do a portfolio type of oriented thing. I don't know if we'll be able to get a guest on the show to do the portfolio. We're gonna sort of like scour the internet again and just try and find portfolios that we can give a little bit of constructive criticism and a little bit of scrutiny, just to talk around UX design portfolios, what they should be covering, and what designers should be putting in their portfolios. So until tomorrow, peace. It was a great session today, and I hope that the microphone was on. I'm guessing I see that there's a comment from Hololo. And yeah, thank you so much for dropping in the comment. Hoping to see you in the future coming design streaming sessions. So until tomorrow, I'm out.